The success for a successful surveillance operation lies in meticulous planning. This planning entails several key things. The first thing is understanding the subject's routine. You need to know what the subject's going to do, or better yet, what they might do. Now, how are you going to know this? Well, first thing is to do an OSINT, or an open source intelligence investigation, on the subject. Or maybe it's not quite that deep as a full OSINT, but maybe it is just checking out their social media profiles and seeing what information you can gather there. You can see their likes, the things that they like, the places they like, the restaurants they like. You can see if they've checked in places. And you can also look at their photographs there, and you can see if they have any special activities. Like, for instance, here, I get a lot of subjects where I will see that they have a lot of photographs of mountains when they're up hiking, or when they're fishing, or when they're out on the lake, things like that. Part of understanding the subject's routine, you also need to understand the routes that they may take going from their house somewhere else. So you need to look at Google Maps, and you need to maybe go out and do a pre-surveillance recon and look at all the exit strategies that they have. Look at all the ways that they can go. Look at all the different routes that they can take. You want to look for nearby schools. You want to look for nearby restaurants, fast food joints, convenience stores, things like that, grocery stores, where they might go during their day. Then when they take off, you will understand what direction they may take and where they may be going before they even get there. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. Another key to success is identifying ideal observation points where you can sit and you can watch the residents or wherever they're at without being noticed. Now, you have to remember, stationary surveillance, it's not just about being a fly on the wall, it's about being an invisible fly on the wall. You have to remember, discretion is the lifeblood of surveillance. You need to be able to blend in with the environment as much as possible. And that blending in is having a good surveillance vehicle. Now, you don't have to have any particular surveillance vehicle, but there are some particular surveillance vehicles that you shouldn't have. You don't want a bright red car or a bright yellow vehicle or anything like that, or, you know, a sports car, anything that's going to stand out. Just a regular plain Jane mom and pop type of a vehicle will fit into most residential areas. And you also want to keep a safe distance from your subject's house when you get there. I usually say 3 to 4 houses if possible. If you need to go further, you can go further, but no more than 2 or 3 blocks. You really have to weigh in the benefits of being able to see the subject house, being able to get the video of any activity, and being able to react when they go active. If you're too far away, you may lose them before you ever get a chance to get in the game on mobile surveillance. And don't frequently change your stationary position. This is really critical. I have seen this, and I was one that did it myself when I first got started. I would get into a position when I got started, and then I would think, well, maybe that neighbor saw me. Or it's just getting too hot in the car, or maybe there's too much sun glare, or a truck pulled in front and it's blocking part of my view, something like that, and then I move. Well, when you start moving around on stationary surveillance, you will get noticed by your subject or by the neighbors around you. Another big thing to keep in mind in preparing for your surveillance is to double check every single piece of equipment you have. You need to check and make sure that the batteries on your camera are charged and they are in good condition. If you're starting to have problems with your batteries, they're not lasting as long, it may be time to get new batteries for your camera. You also want to make sure the lens is clean on your cameras as well. This is one of the things that's easy to forget about. Your camera is getting tossed around all the time. You get some dust specks on there, and this can start to make a big difference in the quality of your video. You also want to check the camera settings, but you want to do this for your main camera, your backup camera, and your covert camera. Yes, you should have a main camera. You should have a backup camera just in case that one doesn't work. Something goes wrong, memory fills up, or the battery just plain dies. You've got something else to fall back on, and you should have some kind of a covert camera as well. And you want to check the battery, you want to make sure the lenses are clean, and you want to check the settings that are on those cameras too. One of the settings that you need to look at is it in nighttime mode or low light mode? If you were out the night before and you were doing surveillance and you change that setting and now you're going out in the morning and it's not dark, the sun comes up and your subject goes active, now you may start to have some problems with the auto zoom and different things like that. And you also want to make sure you check and make sure that digital zoom is turned off. Or if it's not turned off, you know where to stop when you're zooming before you go into that digital zoom. You do not want to use digital zoom while you're out on surveillance. And another big one is to make sure that date and that time are correct on all your cameras and they are synced together. This is fairly easy. You set one camera, you get it going, you watch the time, you wait for it to change, and that's when you change the next one. Then you get the next one ready and you wait for it to change a minute, and then you change the next one. Make sure they are all synced properly. There's nothing worse than sending out a video that has the guy walking into the store at 10:18, but he's walking out at 10:15. It looks a little weird to your clients. And your battery backup unit. You should be using a battery backup unit. I carry one of those jumper packs, you know, that you use to jumpstart your car in case the battery goes dead. It has an AC converter on it, so I can plug my camera in. I leave it plugged in all the time, so my battery is always charged up. But you need to make sure that that battery backup unit is also charged up. And paper and pencil or pen, you got to have this. You have to have something to write down. So often we rely on our cell phones. We think we can take a quick note on there or something, but it just doesn't happen all the time. If you have a cover sheet, and you should have a cover sheet for every investigation, you have that cover sheet and you got a pen handy when you need to jot down a license number or jot down an address or some other piece of information, you've got something to quickly do that with. Trying to do it real fast on your phone, well, often it just creates a lot of problems and you forget to take those notes. Your vehicle is also part of your equipment list. You have to remember that. You need to keep the windows, all of them, the front, the sides, the back, the little windows, and the mirrors clean at all times. My preference is when I get on scene, right before I set up stationary, I will find a convenience store. Then I will fuel up and I will clean all of the windows and make sure that they are clean. And make sure you clean the insides. Now, I suggest doing that not right before you're on surveillance. Do that several times a month probably. You need to make sure you clean them up. Even if you don't smoke or anything like that, dust is going to build up on those windows and you're going to start to get that film, and that's going to start to affect your video quality. And as I said, you need to make sure you have a full tank of gas. There's nothing worse than going out, doing surveillance. You think you're all ready to go. You're in the 7th hour of the day. You got one more day to go and you are done, and then your subject goes active and they take off down the highway and you're following them and you're following them and you're following them, and then they pull into a gas station to fuel up and you realize they're probably going to go further, and you look down and you've got less than a quarter of a tank of gas. Now you're put in a situation where you're going to have to park right next to or in close vicinity to your subject and fuel up. Now they're going to see your car, they're going to see your face, and they're going to probably remember that. So make sure you are fueled up before you go. Now, if you're on a long surveillance, there may be times that you have to fuel up if they go a long ways, even though you did fuel up. I've had some that have gone over 400 or 500 miles where I've had to stop with the subject and fuel up. And make sure you have food and water as well. You have to have that. I always suggest dry food, nuts, that kind of a thing. You don't want a lot of caffeinated things. You don't want a lot of sugar. You don't want a lot of things that are going to, well, create tummy problems or anything like that. I prefer waters. Sometimes I'll take a Gatorade or something like that, but I prefer waters. But always make sure you have plenty of food and water, because if you get on those long road trips, you're going to need something to help keep the energy going. And then there's cash. You need to have cash on hand should anything come up. If you have to go through a toll, it's a lot easier to give them some cash. If you have to go into a restaurant with your subject, it's a lot easier to pay with cash and get in and out quickly. There's just a lot of times that you may have to have cash. And around here, a lot of times, I have followed people into national and state parks, and you have to pay cash. And sometimes it's grabbing one of those envelopes, writing your license plate number down and your vehicle description and putting that $5 or that $10 in there. And if they don't find that when they find you, then you're going to be in a lot worse trouble, because they're going to be sitting there writing you a ticket and your subject's liable to see you, or worse, maybe leave, and you don't know where they went. You also need to have appropriate clothing. You need to make sure that you can match the scenario that you're going to be in. Now, I might go out on surveillance just like this, but I'm going to make sure that I have extra shirts with me. I'm also going to have things in case the weather changes, in case it gets colder, in case it gets hotter. I need to be prepared for those things. And I can use things like hats, glasses, and different colored shirts to help disguise me when I'm out there on foot surveillance. I also really like to always keep a newspaper and a coffee cup handy, you know, one of those travel coffee cups, so I could sit just about anywhere on a picnic bench or just on a street corner and be reading my newspaper and kind of fit in just about anywhere. And you also need to make sure, if you're going to be successful as a private investigator doing surveillance, that you are physically and mentally prepared for the job. You need to make sure you get enough sleep. You have to do this. When I first started doing this, I was doing surveillance almost every day, 6 or 7 days a week. And I'll tell you what, I was running ragged. And I found myself causing myself a lot of problems because I wasn't physically and mentally prepared. I didn't get enough sleep. I got up too early. I still had all this other stuff to do from the day before. So you need to make sure that you get all the rest ahead of time before you go out. And that goes a long ways with eating healthy. You need to make sure you eat healthy as well. Keeping a good diet and getting enough rest is going to help you stay on top of your game when you're out there. And I know when you first start, it's really easy. You're going to grab, you know, a cheeseburger here and a candy bar there and different things like that. But that will soon start to catch up with you. I really do understand that, and I do know that from experience. You need to make sure that you're eating healthy so you can stay in the game and stay healthy while you're out there doing your surveillance. And exercise, 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 exercise whenever you can. And I'm not talking strenuous exercise. If you can get up in the morning and just go out and walk for 10 minutes before you go on your surveillance. And if you're out there and your subject goes to a shopping mall, don't be afraid to get out of your vehicle and follow them. One, you're going to get a lot of good video probably, and two, you're also going to get some exercise that's going to help keep your body limber and able to continue on with the surveillance. And staying mentally prepared is also studying the case prior to going out. I always study the case the night before. I make sure I have everything in place. I make sure all of my equipment's ready, but then when I get up in the morning, I go through that checklist, that preparedness checklist that we just talked about. I go through that and I make sure that is all ready and good to go again. So many times I've checked the night before and then I've hopped in my car and gone to go out on surveillance, and I get a half a mile down the road and I realize I forgot my covert camera. That's why I have that checklist 2 times, in the evening before I go and in the morning before I go as well. And you need to make sure that you give yourself time for each one of these preparation steps. That is one of the biggest battles out there. It's so easy to get in a rut and forget that you have to do this, or forget that you have to do that. And if you don't have that checklist, you don't have that list of things to go over, well, then the game's up before you ever get started.